The year is 2030. Nandu, the guy in his apartment, tried to turn on the air conditioner, but could not because the air conditioner broke down. After unsuccessful attempts, he still abandoned this idea and thought that later he would need to call the master. And turning on the device, I wanted to drink water. Well, it didn't work either. But then his watch started strangely on his face, and it presented a screen in which a reminder was written that there were 10 minutes left before the official start of the beta test of the game Flawless World. The year is 2030. Most of the jobs were occupied by robots, and this has led to mass unemployment. In this regard, people began to spend time in online games relying on them to earn money. Therefore, the gaming industry has become the main economic pillar in the world. Against this background, the largest company in the video game industry has teamed up to create the game Flawless World. This game allows you to directly convert in-game currency through the official platform. You need the currency of the country. The guy pressed some button in front of him and an interesting gaming machine appeared in front of him. According to rumors, this is a Western MMORPG with fantasy elements. The old man thought that since he had already played similar games before, so it would be much easier to start. In this game, he may find himself on the starting lines with celebrities, and he has a chance to change his life with this game. And he should take advantage of this opportunity because it is his destiny, and he entered this game. When he got into the game Flawless World, there were medieval houses and a lot of people nearby. He himself was dressed in clothes in those times. The plate showed its characteristics. His name is Zhuan. Title: No. Health: 5. Strength: 5. Dexterity: 5. Magic: 5. HP: 100. Attack: 50. MP: 100. Sewn up: 1. Looking at these characteristics, the guy thought that everyone's stats are about the same. But then I heard people talking that some said that they tried to pinch themselves and really felt pain. And one of them asked if there were any system hints for beginners here, and why this game is so hardcore. That guy thought he had to look around first, and when he stepped out a sign came out there. It said that this was his one walk. Achievement all starts with one step. And the sign came out again so that after 1,000 steps the title is unlocked, Wanderer. And it was indicated that it was necessary to unlock the skill of the divine level a step of 1,000 miles. Seeing this, guy took a deep breath, and then the sign came out again that this was his one deep breath. The skill long breath was obtained. And if he takes 1,000 deep breaths and unlocks achievements, then he will become a master of breathing. And he was instructed to unlock the divine level skill Kai Purification. The guy was very surprised and thought what was the matter, and then the sign came out again that this was his one shock. It seemed to him that others don't have this. Maybe it's thanks, or is it such a game mechanic? And he asked himself if he could get skills regardless of what he was doing, and when he raised his hand that he got a reward for it. He thought that in this game, awakening a divine level skill is enough to change the life of an ordinary person. And if he can get them, then he will not be so lucky. It looks like you need to fulfill certain conditions to get them. And while he was walking with a wave of his hands, he could see the signs that he had taken 2 steps. 999 steps remained. He took a deep breath. His internal organs were strengthening. There were still 999 breaths to get the skills, and he waved his hand. The rest, looking at it, did not understand that this could happen to him. He was sick. One of them said that he had just stood and watched. It was better to leave him. And he said it's better to hurry to find monsters to level up, and they can't keep up. The tablets congratulated him that he took 1,000 steps and he received the divine skill step 1,000 Lie. And due to the fact that he took 1,000 breaths, he received the skill of the divine level of purification of Kai. And for 1,000 swings of his hands, he received the divine skill of the kill and swing. He was standing in front of a large field and thought that it looked like no matter which direction he went, there would be similar locations everywhere. And he opened his tablet since he got a lot of skills. His skills were step 1,000 Lie. His speed will be increased. Now he can increase his speed by 10 times. By improving his skill, he can increase his speed. Kai Purification. His breath gives him experience points. Now he can get 10 experience points when he breathes. An increase in strength is required to improve the skill. Kill and Wave. His left arm had become extremely powerful. Each of her attacks deals 10 times more damage. To improve the skill level, an increase in the main stats is required. Zhuan thought it was worthy of being called divine. After all, each of these skills is very useful. In addition, each of them gives a good buff. It's just a gift of some kind. Thanks to the skill of Cleansing Kai, he is already 2 levels higher than others. He already has 4 skill points that can be randomly distributed, so add them to the swing of the target so he will become even more powerful. And it still took some time to get these skills. Most of the players have already left, and he wanted to try his 1,000-mile step skill. Activating this skill, he started running at the speed of light, surprising all the people around. An hour later, he stopped. I'll look around. I noticed what he was doing. He ran away for an hour, but he was still in this location. He thought that he could run about 30 kilometers and was able to get ahead of everyone. And then a sign appeared where he felt tired for the first time. When he feels tired 10 times, who will be able to unlock the sloth achievement? And unlocking it can get a divine skill, immunity to fatigue. When he saw the new achievement, he thought it was strange and decided to see what other players were saying on the game's forum. When he opened the game's forum, these messages were also written there. Messages, and below it is written whether he did it at all. He has been walking for a long time and there is only a field except for the players, there is no one else here. Message B was written that he had the same thing. He was also walking along the western road and did not meet anyone. Message C says all he saw was a black shadow running fast. Another of them asked if it wasn't a bug, but one of them said that they should go further. After all, such a situation has already happened. And it seems that the safe zone here is very large and needs to be investigated. Not finding anything, I thought that something was wrong here. Then the creators installed such a large and safe zone here. It's not just like that. A friend came up with an idea, but he thought that it was too early to draw conclusions and decided to continue the research. The border of the city of novices. While he was walking to here, the border had already ended and there was a river there. He thought that this river must be the border of the safe zone. There were animals on the other side of the river. One of them is a deer of the dark forest and the other is a mutating four-horned bull. These animals were level 10. Seeing this, Zhuan was surprised. He thought that even after obtaining divine skills, he would not be able to compete with them. It is difficult for ordinary players to even get out of the safe zone. And an ordinary player encounters monsters one time. Most likely it will happen at night. And at night the woodpecker will be in a safe zone in the field. And he thought to himself that knowing this gives him an undeniable advantage. Now he needs to do everything possible to be ready for this. And he started crossing the river with the help of trees. The climate in a flawless world is almost identical to reality. Then there is a high probability that the temperature will drop at night, especially near the river. That is why the primary task is to collect as much firewood as possible and also need to build a shelter. And he started collecting firewood. While he was collecting firewood, he found a blunt axe. Taking it, he said maybe there is still something useful here, so he will collect more firewood. And in the end, he found a silicon stone left by goblins, moldy bread, an item in the wild, and because of this he received the treasure hunter achievement. And he was instructed to find 5 items in the wild and he will be able to unlock the title of treasure seeker and get the divine skill the art of Lunma. The art of Lunma, category divine. In the wild, he will receive hints with which he will be able to find hidden objects. And he just found another hemp rope and an empty vessel to get the title. Using his skill, he wanted to see the treasures hidden in this forest. And nothing was found. He realized that there were no hidden treasures in this forest. And he went to find a place to camp. He found a place where there was a water source nearby. Taking the axe, he realized that he needed to sharpen it and seeing a large stone, he began to sharpen this axe. For this, he received the achievement Master of Sharpening. And after he sharpens the weapon 100 times, he will be able to unlock the title Grinder and get the manufacturing skill of Sublimated Forging. Sublimated Forging, the category of the divine. Thanks to his skill, durability, strength and power will increase. There is also a high probability of turning into a new weapon. Seeing this, he began to sharpen his weapon even faster. 10 minutes later, he was able to perfectly sharpen his axe. It was made of black iron metal, equipment level 1, attack power 10. And it was written there that it is used for cutting trees. It is ineffective against humans. I thought that the sharpened axe and the attack power is added. If there was a lack of time, he would have sharpened it properly, but the case is not waiting. You need to go for firewood. Seeing one of the trees, he thought it looked pretty sturdy, so he would use it for construction and cut down the tree with one blow. And for this he received the achievement Lumberjack. And he was given a hint that if he cut down 100 trees, he would get the title of a mad lumberjack and get the divine skill of a landscape designer. And at the bottom it was written that he could dig into any tree and transplant it. If he plants it correctly, it will bloom again. But he needed me so many trees and that's why she abandoned this venture. And since he only found a hemp rope, he still needs to find some vines. He dragged the tree to his location and because of this, he gained the skill of a divine level foundry master. As a foundry vassar, he will be able to easily produce everything he needs as long as he has the necessary materials. And he was instructed to create first-class things. After a while, he would be able to make a hut out of what he brought. But when he looked, he saw that there were still a lot of materials left. This skill was just Bella, by the way, and he decided that he would just use these remnants to do something necessary. He made a level 1 rattan armor and a wooden spear for himself. Rattan armor was of the bronze rank. The armor is very strong, provides protection against physical damage, disadvantages ineffective against fire. The wooden spear was at level 1, bronze rank, not inferior in power to the iron spear. The disadvantage was that it could easily break. Suddenly someone attacked him. Because of this, his health decreased by -1. Looking at the other side, he realized that someone was coming. Dark waves were gathering above him. Zhuan was warned that he was being attacked by dark waves and needed to find the fire as soon as possible. During this time, he lost several HP. With the help of his spear, he was able to light a fire. He breathed a sigh of relief that he was now in a safe place and praised himself for having prepared everything in advance. For lighting the fire, he received the achievement of fire extraction. In the tablet it was written that if the fire will illuminate him for more than 10 minutes, he can get the title of Lord of Fire. And he was instructed to unlock the fire control skill divine skill level. Fire is boiling in his body and he can use fire magic, and his strength will depend on the amount of mana consumed. Zhuan was glad that he was finally able to get the attack skill, because all the previous skills were only auxiliary. The fireball's attack takes 10 mana units, and its maximum is now 130 units, which meant that he could release 13 such balls. When he released the fireball, it was able to destroy a large rock. He was very surprised because this ball was incredibly intimidating for him, and now this skill was a personal trump card for him. But the guy thought that it was impossible to relax, but it turned out that at night the safe zone is more dangerous than cold waves. And to see how things are with other players, he entered the handicap. One of them wrote that he went everywhere to the north and wandered to some kind of forest. But the way is blocked by the river, and on the other side there are animals of level 10 and higher. It was impossible to pass through them. Another player wrote that it was the same in the west and they stopped here in a small group. Another wrote that cold waves continuously cause damage. Player E wrote that he didn't see any respawn points. Zhuan thought that the players had not progressed much further than him. The safe zone is round, so no matter which direction he goes, the situation won't be much different. So the main task for today is to get out of here. And he realized that he hadn't noticed the respawn points either. And he wondered if it was really impossible to be reborn after the death of the player. And then information appeared on the forum that goblins appeared in the safe zone, and their indicators were as follows: attack 30, defense 1, HP 100. They live in the dark, their origin is not known, and they like to attack at night. While the guy was wondering what kind of monsters could be inside the safe zone, a noise was heard behind him, and a monster jumped out of the bushes. But the guy quickly managed to react and stuck his spear into him. For the fact that he killed the goblin bat, and the level was raised to 4. For the fact that he defeated the monster for the first time, he received the achievement of the killer. If he kills 10 monsters, that he will get the title fighter and get the killing skill. The killing skill level is divine. There is a thirst for murder in his heart. Every time he kills, he can get a certain power forever and restore 0% of the damage done to him. And the force at the moment, force 1. And for the sake of safety, he burned the monster's body. But then the monster's body began to transform, turning almost like a human body. The elder was able to save him and fell to the ground. Zhuan thought that the monster had burned down and turned into a human. And then a sign appeared that he had revealed the secret of the goblin. And now the quest has been activated that he has to catch 1 goblin alive. And the number of goblins in the dark at the moment is 99,999. The guy thought he should grab 1 goblin. Of course there are a lot of them, but they are not so strong anymore, although they can attack first. And now there is no time to think. If he hesitates, who can fail the quest. It was written on the sign that he has a resistance to cold wave damage as well as a 50% resistance to icy cold magic. Right now, the number of goblins was 31,444. While he was running around the field, there were already corpses of goblins and humans. Some groups of people still managed to catch 1 goblin by tying it on one of the rocks, and they decided to kill him. But then our hero stopped him, for the fact that he fought with a man for the first time with a baton. He received the achievement of the Ruch Fighter Visa, and he was instructed to fight a man 10 times to get the title of king among fighters and get the skill of a master of wrestling. The man asked what he was doing here, to which Zhuan apologized and asked them to give him this goblin because he really needed a live goblin. If she agrees, he will give them his armor in exchange. Noting that she was bronze, the man decided to give him the goblin and warned him that they had beaten him almost to death and he had lost a lot of blood, and, as he thought, it would not be long. After assessing the situation, he realized that this goblin would not pull until the morning, and yet, having abandoned this venture, he went the other way, thanking the group. The girls were wondering why he needed a live goblin. And then the goblin attacked the man, ate him and increased in size. For me, one player wrote that it seems to him that the murder is deep and gives a lot of experience. We don't have so many of them left. In response, he wrote to her that her hedgehog understood and he climbed them well. The trails stink terribly. Another player wrote that he came across a strange guy. He needed a live goblin. He even wanted to give bronze armor for him. To which he was told to answer, it was necessary to change such armor more expensive than some monsters, and wondered that he was a complete fool. The guy thought that maybe after killing the goblin, he began to smell somehow and now they are bypassing him. And after seeing that the number of goblins that did not remain, he was a little upset that he did not have time. And then a parted number of goblins appeared in the tablet. The guy wondered if the system had created another tapestry. Whatever was going on, Wu was not going to miss this chance. When he came, instead of coming, there was a goblin with a big physique fighting with other people. People thought it was the boss because he was very huge. It was a goblin mutant of level 3. HP 400, skills had no, strength was 200. His condition was now in a frenzy. Someone shouted that the berserker stage had passed. That is, the goblin had shrunk. And they decided to attack him now, but then our main character overcame them. He quickly tied up the tapestries and said that he needed this goblin alive. But that is, the whole group blocked his path, saying that they should leave the goblin and get out, otherwise they are not responsible for themselves. Zhuan seriously said that he only needed this goblin. One of them shouted that he wanted to steal their monster and they started attacking him. But their attacks did not harm him in any way since he had a bronze armor, and he was level 5. One of them said that he heard someone took a bronze armor in exchange for a goblin. Is it him? And then they wanted to attack him, but our main character was able to quickly get out of there while killing the leader of the group. The official forum said that a violent man had just robbed the Ranger Guild building. Another participant said that all the guild members were there, and he saw how he killed them armed with a spear. He also has such a high defense that no one could even break through it. When asked what his name was, some said they didn't have time to notice because he was moving fast. Zhuan received the title of savior for the fact that the mission was completed. He got a lot of experience points and got a new level. 3 were obtained, and the first equipment was a sharp iron sword, the second guard of the dungeon keeper, the third necklace of war. The characteristics of these equipment were as follows: Guardian Guard of the Dungeon, rare silver, required level 5, strength 15, protection 15. The Nameless Defender of the Vaya Dungeon, eternally real at the entrance of the dungeon. Necklace War, rare with silver, required level 5, intelligence 40, mature, was specially made for adventure lovers and recovery of 1% of its ohms per second. Sharp Iron Sword, rare bronze, required level 3, attack 110. A very sharp sword, and from the Shaft Dungeon. Zhuan looked at the goblin and thought, what good is he now? After yesterday's berserk stage, he became very weak. But there must be some other secrets hidden. Judging by the past case, these goblins are formed from people. If so, who are the people who turn into goblins? He was a little upset that there was not enough information. Then I decided to find out what the other participants were saying. But almost everyone was discussing it there. It annoyed him a little. And then he noticed that many wrote that their partners, friends began to disappear. Zhuan thought that this was not a coincidence and wondered if it was possible that one could be reborn after death in this game. And suddenly, a video was shown in the public where a human player frozen to death was filmed. One person came up to the frozen one and said that everyone who froze because of the sharp cold looked like this, and added that he did not know how to revive them. But the frozen player's eyes turned red and the ice that covers his body began to crack and his skin turned bluish. While that man was talking to his subscribers on the stream, a frozen man attacked him, and all this was filmed live. Seeing this, Zhuan got goosebumps from fear. He wondered why this frozen player was attacking other participants. Suddenly, a frozen man appeared from behind him. In the tablet, it was written as a mutated icy chill. His level was 5, Ohm 500, Oz 500, attack power 500. Frost-sealed souls from another world have lost their minds, attack all visible beings, and are afraid of underground spiritual sources. Zhuan, using his kill-in-hand skill and using a new sword, was able to chop off the monster's head with a single blow. For this, he received a lot of experience points. That monster turned into a man and went to another place. For this, Zhuan received 10 points of luck from him. The opponent gets 50% more experience for 10 days, after which he will receive a bonus based on this amount. Zhuan realized that zombies are also players. Kill zombies and revive players with rewards, and Kai cultivation does not give him so much experience. He thought he needed to save a couple of players and get them to work for him. The forum asked how to deal with level 5 zombies. One participant said that you just have to run. Another one asked where to find a system memo about the location of underground spiritual springs. The participant replied to him that he had been digging for half a day, but had not found a single spiritual source. But instead, he dug up a bronze weapon and is now no longer afraid of zombies. It was a surprise to him that he was eating treasures underground in the safe zone. And then the forum reported that their friends were reborn and the place of the rebirth point is in the center of the square. The one who froze to death told about his experience and how he was reborn. And he said that after rebirth, he lost a lot of experience points, as if the body was emptied. And I gave everyone advice that if possible, I tried not to die. Those who were in the center of the field saw that the gates to the underground palace had opened. All the players were surprised because it was a hidden dungeon. When they wanted to enter, they were stopped by a barrier. One of them realized that the hidden level was specifically for the reborn. Then a guy came up to them and told them to forget about the hidden level and better kill the zombies. He said he saw someone kill a zombie, become a player and disappear. These people are reborn like that. Zombies have a lot of experience points, and he thought it was going up from level 2 to level 4. And he added that he had heard that half of the experience of revived players can be absorbed within 10 days. After hearing this, everyone abandoned the idea of entering the dungeons and left to kill people. One of the players who was burying the ground and hearing their conversations, he said, "What kind of arrogance is this? After all, the game is definitely not that simple. It can't be that the dead got more than the living and told you that it's better to dig more, look for other entrances. Not to mention that there are a lot of treasures underground. So why not do it?" And our hero a few hours later was able to kill a few more zombies. There were about 100 of them. And then he suddenly saw that the underground palace was open. He thought that although it was generally correct to follow the instructions of the system, but apparently this was an official alert. Even the location is indicated, maybe it's a trap. And in the end there is no training in this game, so why is the alert so detailed? It was very suspicious. He thought it was better to return to the camp first, and then sort out the situation. In the evening he burned a fire and looked at the goblin. Zhuan thought that if he summed up what was happening. Firstly, no information about the secret of the goblin was received today. The interface of the mission still hasn't disappeared after its execution. This must be a long mission, he thought. And what if the conditions of fulfillment are the opening of the next mission? And then he saw on the signs that he was getting points from the players. For this, he was glad that today was spent usefully. But only he didn't understand the mechanics of death in the game. But he got a lot of experience. But we must remember that the revived players have long gone to the dungeon, and then he thought why he gets experience for this. Because no one has written anything on the forum for a long time. This dungeon is really problematic. And then suddenly the goblin began to change and he turned into a man. He asked for help saying that he was a man. That player thanked him for not killing him in goblin form. And then Zhuan saw an entry in the tablet that the hidden mission was a mutation in the underground palace of faith. But the mission description of the mission objective and the mission reward was unknown. The guy thought that this caused the next hidden mission and thought it was good that he didn't kill him. Zhuan said he was not grateful, but asked him why he became a goblin. The man bowed to him, introducing himself. His name is Kudor, and he was an ordinary resident of the underground palace of faith. At first, the underground palace of faith was needed in order to attract brave men from different worlds. He didn't know when it started, but the bragging stopped coming to them. The sacred flame in the temple also began to fade. After the sacred flame finally went out, many residents turned into ice zombies because they could not stop the wave of frost and black fog. And Zhuan thought that the underground palace was a beginner village. But he was interested in what kind of situation there was now. Zombies have become not only NPS but also players. Is there a problem in the game? Then why the developers don't fix it? The man continued his story, saying that at first not so many residents of the comma died. But even in this case they had strong guards of the underground palace who could protect them. But when the wave of cold became stronger, the guards also died. I had to open a sacred spring deep in the palace, but suddenly everyone who drank from the source became goblins. And then the underground castle became a haven for zombies and goblins. Some with goblins ran outside. Legends say that moonlight can remove any curse, and probably thanks to this, he has now regained his former appearance, because he was on a boulder in the sky. Zhuan thought that the player who entered the underground palace was very unlucky. No wonder that the forum was so quiet. Fortunately he felt it and did not go. Well, I wondered why the system offends players. It's not normal. It's better to be more careful in the future. And then Kudor asked if he wanted to help them. All people will regain their former appearance of the Kama when he enters the palace and lights the consecrated fire. They will give him an incredible treasure. And deep in the tombs are hidden class scrolls. If he saves his friend, he will give him a Christmas present. But Zhuan still wanted to refuse. But Kudor did not want to give up and said if the scroll is not enough, then maybe he will be interested in legendary level equipment. If he accepts his task, then Kudor will give him this weapon. It was the Ring of the Lost Thunder. Rarity, gold. Required level, 10. Physique, plus 40, strength plus 40, agility plus 40, courage plus 40. Special effects. This ring is the Lords of Thunder. He will be all over it by rushing thunder damage in the underground palace. The skill releases a lightning strike at enemies at a distance of no more than 500 meters and deals 600 points of damage. 1 second recharge. Zhuan looked at this ring with burning eyes and thought that it is known that in this game, bronze level equipment can gradually depreciate as the player's level increases. The gold equipment retains its value forever. But Zhuan thanked him for his generosity and kindness, but still refused. The underground palace is very dangerous and he does not dare to enter there. She told him it was late and he could stay and rest. He can find another place in the morning. But the man began to turn into some kind of monster and said that if the warrior did not want to, he would not force him, but simply take his corpse there and jumped on him to attack. But Zhuan managed to react and plunged his sword into his body. The man was surprised and the guy said that the task was somehow unusual, and this is already suspicious. Besides, he did not hesitate and used rarities to lure him to the underground palace. Anyone in their right mind will feel a trick. And I asked him who he was and why he came here. The evil goblin said that they all deserve death. Souls from other worlds should become food for the gods and fell to the ground. For killing a mutated inhabitant of the underground palace of faith, he received experience points. And he received equipment with the armor of the guard of the underground palace and also a sheepskin card. And in the end, he received that special item, the Ring of the Lost Thunder. Zhuan cheerfully said that the game really does not go according to the rules. For killing a crusading NPS, you can get a lot of useful things, and he also raised the level of his family. The reservation of the guard of the underground palace was made of silver. Protection plus 20, 03, plus 500. Taking the map of the underground palace, he began to study it and said that in any case there was nothing else to do today and decided to take a break. In general, in the future we need to pay more attention to the system alert and what the NPCs say. The next morning he learned that the number of survivors was 160,307 people. Zhuan said that after the open beta test of the game there were about 600 million players, and now there are about 100,000 survivors. In the sign it was written that the awards were given to the survivors and 7 players need to go to the safe zone in the central square. Zhuan thought that even though it might be a trap again, he still didn't have enough information. There he can see other survivors. Maybe he can get information or understand the situation. The central square of the safe zone. Zhuan, because it's a little strange feeling when he opens the system and sees such a huge number of players. Stupid to gather everyone in one place should be this number from this safe zone. The safe zone is 1000. There must be a location here in a similar way. One girl standing next to a huge man said that she did not expect to see young people here. Another man asked him what family he was from. Zhuan thought to himself that he was not the heir of any big family. People from big families don't even look at him. Lubachka. He thought that all the idiots had already entered the underground palace yesterday. But it seems that not everyone has dropped out. Then a sign came out in front of them that the safe zone for beginners is 1000. The number of survivors is 200. The predicted number of survivors is 20, and at the bottom there was a request to kill your opponents as soon as possible. At first, all the players did not understand whether they should kill each other, but immediately they started attacking each other. Zhuan thought that first they put about 100,000 people in a safe zone, and now only 20 of you can live. The first missions were intended to reveal people. That girl told him not to be surprised and attacked him with her sword, but Zhuan was able to block his attack. The girl asked Omdi if they were making an effort and would see what would come out of it. And I asked him where such a handsome guy came from. But Zhuan said he didn't want to tell her about it. The girl said that it was very dangerous in this game and she considered him pathetic and asked if he wanted to join. To his question, he and only she the girl replied that her brother would also be part of his name is Zhen. The guy thought that even though he was confident in his abilities, but in the end he was alone. There are very few ways to get information here, so it's useful to team up with others. When he said his name, the girl asked in surprise, "Is he that Zhuan from Shanghai?" And the guy asked her how she knew him. The girl replied that ordinary people may not know, but unless someone from large families does not know. The Lin family with an income of tens of billions has an only daughter who did not marry him. After all, he rejected a blessing that is inaccessible to others and praised him for being such a daredevil. Xuan Yu felt uneasy and said that there was no need to mention the past. The girl thought that he deserved to be liked by King. Xuan Pajuma that brother and sisters are unusual people. There are 200 people left in the game. There should be even more heirs of large families among the survivors. And then a sign came out that since no one had been killed for a long time, the system automatically eliminates the person with the least total strength. The countdown is 20 minutes, and then one of the players was eliminated from the game. Seeing that everyone was still fighting, Xuan flew away from the girl by several meters. The girl asked a little touchy why he was suddenly running away so far and whether he thought that she would do the same with him as about her. And when the girls wanted to attack the players, her brother defended her by defeating the players in one fell swoop. Xuan Yu thought that with the blessing of so many skills, talents, and equipment, his attack power now barely reaches 610 points. And a guy named Wu Ji has an attack power of at least 500 or higher. Suddenly, the Nadan player wanted to attack Xuan, but he was grabbed by Zhang and killed him with one of his own hands. He said he would save him too. Xuan forces, why should they help him? He has not yet agreed. Forces, why should they help him? He has not yet agreed to unite with them. The girl smiled and said that there was no need for them to just be interested. Not everyone will give up hundreds of billions of dollars. When 20 people left, and the remaining players were congratulated on passing the test and proving their strength. Now it's time to choose your path. Xuan thought that the yard seemed to be over and wondered what the system would allow them to do now. Players had to choose hidden classes. Whatever game they play, their class always matters. Hidden classes are priceless in Complete World. Due to the features of Complete World, players who have received a hidden class will be promoted in the game, and their real life will also change dramatically. Two players fought each other during this time and a man of a solid build won. His name was Gu Mao, and now he will be given a hidden class. And then a rider in black armor appeared and the player moved into his body. His own animal panther welcomed him back into the darkness. His hidden class is the Dark Knight special abilities. When becoming a Dark Knight, the player will receive immunity to dark magic. He will receive 4 companions. His main characteristics will be increased for each level. He will receive an additional 10 points of characteristics. The girl said that it seems that from this day on, everything will be different in the Gu family. And then the second hidden class was already defined. It's a Thunder Giant. Special ability. When becoming a Gram Giant, the player will gain immunity to thunder magic and receive the blessing of the power of the Thunder Spirit. His strength and physical characteristics are doubled. Then lightning damage will be dealt when attacking. His damage becomes 30% less. His attack power increases by 30%. Zheng wanted to go there, went to fight and won. And then the giant collapsed on the man and the man felt very strong pain. Xuan thought that it seems that in order to get a hidden class, you need to fight not only with other players, but also feel inhuman pain. And then a lilac mist began to thicken over the sky. This class is the Lord of the Dead and this class was immortal. Special ability, the player cannot die. Immune to all the magic of the dead. And he will be the only living dead person on the continent. And then almost all the players started fighting to enter this class. And they started killing each other. The winner was Wei Min. And the reward was determined for him. And then the guy's skin began to thaw and he fell to the ground. Another hidden class is the Mixed Elf. Special ability, the player has 2 lives and 2 special elements. Accordingly, he is immune to the elements of light and darkness. He will study mixed magic, which has a special effect. The rollback of his skills is reduced by half. There was only the last class left and the girl thought that everyone else would definitely try to get it and it was necessary to take advantage of the opportunity. The girl's brother asked why Xuan wasn't trying. He replied that he didn't need to, he didn't like being a magician. In addition, there should definitely be other opportunities to get a hidden class in the future. And then he thought that, to be honest, it seems to him that these hidden classes are kind of strange. It feels like those who have received hidden classes are not too sane, as if they are possessed by a strange spirit. Perhaps this is one of the traps of the system. Xuan decided that while it is better to improve skills and talents, it will be no worse than hidden classes, so there is no need to fight yet. The girl, Mank won, and then a sign appeared requesting that they all go to the underground lobby. At the point of rebirth of the hidden classes can choose 2 companions. The companion gets the same special class as him but cannot betray or harm him. When he is damaged, the companion's health points will be sacrificed. Those who were reborn were surprised that they had a chance to get a special class. One of them asked if the owner does not die, then everything is fine if they sacrifice their own health. The Lord of the Dead whining stood in front of the reborn and did not know who to choose as his servant. And then his friend came up to him, telling him to choose him since they are friends. But he ignored his request and chose two men who were dressed much better than them. His friend asked why he didn't choose him, for which he said that because he was unworthy. The same one in despair left the ground and said that he was not whining because his friend would not have done that. Zhuan looked at them and thought that the two who had chosen whining as the heir of large families had appeared on television before, leaving a friend for the sake of the future. Was this typical of whining, or was the hidden class really absorbing the player as he thought? Zhang asked that friend in Lenin what his name was. He introduced himself that his name was Jiang Beishan. Zhang held out his hand to him, saying that he could go with him. The crying thanked him, saying that he would try very hard. Zhang turned to Chuan asking if he wanted to go with them together. Chuan politely declined. Those who were reborn said that it was faster to go to the underground palace. Maybe they'll get something too. Chuan thought that the players were descending the underground palace again. And I wondered what the system was up to this time. And by the way, I remember that he received a map of the underground palace. But then he was very surprised because the map shows that this is not the entrance to the underground palace. But if this is not the entrance, then where does this move lead to? Judging by the fact that everything affects the underground palace, if he wants to find out the answer, he will have to go down there. But the entrance is too suspicious, and he decided it was better to go and find the entrance that is shown on the map and go down there. He walked up to the big two stones, but I saw that there is no entrance there, but still it is marked as an underground palace. And then the skill of the dragon hunting technique was activated. He said that since the skill was activated, there must be a treasure somewhere. And he added that there is no need to specifically look for a gate that opens the entrance very conveniently. These two stones moved to different sides, opening the entrance to the underworld. In complete world there are no stars and no sun, so it must be the moon that he saw then. Theodore said that the moon removes the curse, but Chuan did not know whether it was true or not. And by the way, even the history of the underground palace is written by Faith. And I wondered how big this game is. While he was going down, he saw various drawings on the walls. And then he came to the big door. When he went inside, who saw there a city that looked like Greek architectural memorials. He was very surprised himself, as it was a surprise, but the underground palace of Faith is a city. Even though it is destroyed, you can still feel the greatness of the past. The map showed that this was the main city of the underground palace of Faith, almost half of the entire territory. However, the Temple of Courage is still a long time away, and he thought that maybe he would find something. Suddenly, he heard a sound when he turned around who was attacking him. It was a big ice monster, and he had a big sword on his hands. Zhuan activated Kirin's hand skill and hit the monster's head with the ball. The guy wondered if this meant that Kudor was telling the truth. The underground palace is divided into two factions, goblins and ice zombies. Could it be the zombies that were originally? Zhuan wondered what was going on here at all and wondered if all the zombies were converging here. Some zombies look like players. Strange, they usually attack everyone indiscriminately, but why don't they attack him? And then all the zombies began to rise somewhere and Zhuan also followed them. The ice zombies went towards the temple. The guy wondered what the ice zombies were doing in the temple. When they got to the temple, Zhuan was surprised because it was an underground palace of Faith. Zhuan, you thought there must be clues he's looking for. And then several people came out of the temple to kill the zombies. Seeing them, Zhuan wondered if they had changed classes. And the temple is a place where they will change their classes. One zombie giggling said that the zombie class is very strong. It's not difficult to die once or twice. It seems he made the right choice because zombies are much more interesting than archers or swordsmen. A sign about the ice zombie appeared in front of Zhuan. His unique special ability is his attack and movement speed are reduced by 50%, and he will not die from special circumstances. Its basic characteristics are increased, killing Toyota players a lot of experience points. When he gets an underground holy spring, he becomes incapacitated and it will be easier to kill him. Zhuan thought that changing classes to become a zombie was unimaginable. Isn't this passive skill dividing the players into two camps? Those players who came out of the temple started using the holy spring, and it killed almost all the zombies. Zhuan came out in front of them and one of the players poked him with a sword and asked who he was. He raised his hands and said that she was usually a player just passing by. He asked how he got here. Yes, our main character replied that he spent another night upstairs and then accidentally went down another aisle here. And by the way, he just saw his skills and asked if they changed classes. The player replied that, after all the players who got into the underground palace had completely completed the transition to the class. Well, if there are a lot of people who have changed classes and become zombies, this is absolutely unacceptable. And he added if he is normal, he can go with them to change his class in the temple. When they entered the temple, a red-haired girl approached them and said since he was new, let him first show them his characteristics panel. The white-haired man standing next to her added that if he didn't want to show everyone, he could only show him and get straight into the Black Feather Guild. His name was Liu Yun. Another purple-haired man asked him what he meant if he wanted to rob them. That girl intervened in their dispute, saying that it was enough to make a fuss, and I suggested that they first look at the characteristics of the guy, and Zhuan quietly left their company. But it was noticed and one of the men asked what he was doing and whether he knew the rules at all. Zhuan was silent and looked at them. The purple-haired man got angry and told the others to take him. When one of them wanted to attack, Zhuan dodged and killed him with one blow of his sword. This greatly surprised the opponents, and one of them shot a bow, but the reservation was able to protect our hero. Seeing this, one of them said that the warriors have the highest defense indicators among all classes, and unexpectedly, one hit of the ball causes more than 6,000 points of uranium. After all, he still hasn't even changed the class, and the arrow doesn't even do damage to him. Seeing this, the purple-haired man immediately began to suck up, saying that he was too arrogant, and introduced himself as Chen Jun from the Nanchuan Trade Union. If he joins his union, he will pay him 200,000 a month. If this is not enough, then they can agree later. And the redheads, saying that the Chen family is not given anything, offered him 2 million. And she also added that if she joins them, then he can choose all the beautiful players of their unions. And the white-haired man also offered to join the guild. And if he joins the Black Feather Guild, he will receive 5 million a year. But Zhuan refused, saying that he was not interested. Hearing this, the three talking started whispering. And the girl wondered what kind of guy is crazy, or is this the son of a spinning top family cultivating dark arts? To which the lilac-haired man replied that such children would trample them, and where did he have such an attitude from? The white-haired one said that when changing the classes of the frame, there is a chance of a hidden class appearing, and followed him. Zhuan, approaching the center where class is replaced, thought that it is not necessary to choose a regular class. Then I will have an advantage over players with hidden classes. And then a sign appeared that an entrance for players had been discovered. And then they began to analyze its characteristics, and it was discovered that the player had not yet changed the class, and the system began to choose the most suitable class. And Denny's Troik said that when a player changes the class of the system advises a class-based performance characteristics. That is, hidden classes may appear in this way. The lilac-haired one also said that he was killing players who had changed classes with a blow above him, so he must have incredible characteristics. He had no idea what hidden classes might open up to him. And a knight appeared in front of our hero, hello fuck, and asked if he wanted to worship the god of knights and keep chivalry forever in his heart. For this, he will be given the title of Paladin, the Light Paladin. Unique effect: he will be blessed by the god of light and gain immunity to light magic damage. His defense will increase significantly. When creating light magic, there is a chance of increasing the skill by 1 level. He will be protected by a light box and the damage is reduced. He will be given a shining set of items. But Zhuan refused. Everyone was shocked to hear this. The knight asked if he was sure of his decision, to which he said that yes, he did not need such a class. It seems to him that he is too weak, and in his head he thought that classes were delusional to teach and passive skills were not as good as his awakened god-level talent. One of the players was surprised to say that since the creation of the Complete World program, players with hidden classes are considered folk virtues. If he doesn't need it, can he take it away? Why disappear? Zhuan thought that he hadn't known about his talent for a long time. For the fact that he refused to change classes from the first, he unlocked a special talent of a jack of all trades. With this skill, he can mark several classes at the same time and enjoy the special effects of all, and he will get experience points for each class. The ability to have 20 kinds of classes is also a magic skill, he thought. And then the knight disappeared and the goddess of light appeared in his place. One of the players said that the goddess Sveta patronizes all the knights mentioned in the frescoes. But it was the highest NPS. How this guy got the highest hidden class? Another player wondered. The goddess of light said that she felt a pulsating power in him and she decided to give him a blessing and asked him to become a part of the light. The tablet included a record that he was blessed by the goddess of light, and the goddess piously wants him to become a saint of light. The blessing of the goddess of light. Type: blessing buff. Effect: when the goddess of light is verbose, the player will receive light class immunity and deals double damage to the creatures of the theme. and he entered the Saint class. Rarity, the highest hidden class. Unique effect. This contract with the Goddess of Light is the protector of the Goddess of Light. That player will receive the highest divine power. The player can use all the skills of the Light class, and the damage depends on the amount of mana spent. Zhuan accepted it. Inside I thought that in complete world there are at least 1,000 skills of the Light class. Theoretically, as long as he has enough mana, he has the destructive power of the gods in this world. Besides, he can have 20 classes at the same time, so there's no reason for him to refuse. And all the gods appeared before him, the king of the dark kingdom of Shira, the lord of life and death, the goddess of war, the lord of the elves and the lord of all magic. They all asked him to join them. The demigod of war. Unique effect. A player can become a defender of the god of battle, and his characteristics change from 1 point of strength equal to 10 attack points to 1 point of strength equal to 3 attack points. Every time he fights, his possession will increase, and he has a chance to get extra stats and experience points. Weapons. The divine golden wheel of the god of war. Level, unknown special item. Special skills. Only the demigods of war. The gods of war can fight with magic weapons that ignore 90% of the enemy's armor according to him and have a chance to repel the enemy's spells. The protector of the elves. Unique effect. The player can become a defender of the elves and will be honored by the name. It is easier to concentrate the power of nature. With each level increase, an additional 10 points will be added to dexterity, and an elf characteristic will be obtained, such as possession of a bow and arrow. His lifespan will be increased and his charm will also be increased. And he can feel the power of nature and read additional information about different plants. Shadow Shura. Unique effect. The player can become the shadow of the maple Shura and get the powerful power of the Shura. He can see the weakness and the enemy, perform accurate strikes, 100% ignoring the enemy's blows, and the damage is increased by 3 times. Shura's Shadow. He can use this skill to see through an opponent when he performs a transparent attack. His critical damage increases to 300%. An ancient magician, Sage. Unique effect. All the magic used by the player comes from the ancient power of magic. The spell he uses changes qualitatively and also increases their power. And he may have the skill of ancient magical writing. His characteristic of courage changes from 10 to 1 point of courage and 50 to 1 point of courage, and it can recover 10% every second. The Oracle. Unique effect. The player will receive the secret of life from the god of death and becomes an oracle wandering the world. Oracle. The player will be engaged in the activities of the oracle can announce the rise of a creature from the dead that will heal it to some extent. When using the skill on himself, he will recover 50% O3 every second. The number of ohms consumed per second will continue to grow. Zhuan accepted them all classes and his lifespan increased to 1,000 years, and now he has the skill of reading ancient inscriptions. And he got a characterization plate. The players were shocked by his performance, and his name seemed familiar to them. He was remembered as the lover of a young miss from the Lin family. The purple-haired man said that a wave of several large families suddenly destroyed several others, but he still refused a devotee of several 100 billion. Since then, he has been nicknamed the untouchable of the capital. And the other man said that but still, apparently, he is still not sure whether he relies on the Lin family or they rely on him. When he came out of the temple, he thought that zombies and players are still not enough of them. There must be players somewhere else, and it seems there are many more secrets hidden in the underground palace. An hour later, he came to a place where there was lightning everywhere. Looking at his ring, he remembered how he got the ring of the lost thunder, and now he can wear it, but he didn't know if there would be some wonderful effect in using it. And then a sign appeared saying that the unique effect of this ring was that it was the ring of the Lord of Thunder. With it, he will be immune to lightning damage in the underground palace. Seeing this, he headed in the direction where the lightning struck. And in truth, this ring protected him from a lightning strike. It was his first step out of the thunder pool. Half an hour later, with his speed of movement, it took him a long time, but judging by the map, he should soon go where he needs to go. The map shows that the pool of thunder is a dividing line between 2 forces. There were goblins on the other side. He went towards the big temple, but his path was blocked by 2 stone giants. And suddenly, lightning came from the ring and struck these giants and their powers were activated. They were the guardian of the underground palace. Level 15, attack 400, O3, 80,000, defense 500, skills no way out. There is no way out. The attacks of the guardian of the underground castle block the enemy's path to escape and forces the enemy to attack. But initially they were defenders of the underground palace of faith, but for unknown reasons they were pushed into the grand pool. If the player kills them, they will receive a set of dungeons and a key to the secret kingdom of the dungeon. Zhuan changed his class to Shadow Shura, and he noted that the characteristics were unexpectedly high and asked him to let them test their strength. Zhuan, using his Kirin arm equipment skill and activating his Shadow Shura stealth skill, he discovered his opponent's weaknesses. Their weak points were on the head. Attacking one of them, he quickly dealt with him. Two monsters appeared behind him. I wanted to attack, but Zhuan managed to get away and hit the monster's head with the ball. For the fact that he successfully killed the guards of the underground castle left and right, he received a lot of experience points. And instead of the monster's body, the dungeon guard's armor appeared. There was also a dungeon guard necklace, boots, and dungeon guard shields. Zhuan was delighted with her, thought that it was just time to improve the equipment, and he found the mysterious key of the underground palace of faith. The underground palace sphere has existed for 1,000 years. It is said that it hides the biggest secrets. Using the key it can enter the underground palace. But Zhuan postponed learning about the secrets of the underground palace until later. Then suddenly a voice rang out from the temple and all the lightning was directed there. There was a sleeping Thunder Lord there. Rarity, Gold level, Overlord level, 30. Another characteristics were hidden by his feature immunity to physical damage. Status, Sleeping, Uncontrollable. Zhuan couldn't see the health and strength points. Seeing that he was immune to physical damage, he decided to get out of here faster. Suddenly, the Thunder Lord jumped up from where you were and it scared our hero a lot. The skills of the Lords of Thunder were Thunderclap and Thunder Field. Attack power, 4,003, 350,000. Rose Green Lord of Thunder sent a large stream of thunder towards Zhuan. On our hero Spruce managed to get away from the blow. The body of the Thunder Lord transformed into animals and began to chase our hero. He was shocked how such a large body could move at such a high speed. Running away from him, he thought that there should be a map border ahead. We need to hurry up. Zhuan barely managed to get out of the dungeon zone and did not let the monster go beyond the border. The Thunder Lord looked up at the sky in a rage and shouted at Vera that she had kept him imprisoned for so many years and still hadn't let go. Hitting the dungeon boundary with all his might, he shouted in rage that he would kill him and kill all the people. Zhuan wondered if this was the founder of the underground palace, and having decided that it would be enough today, he went in the other direction. An hour later, although between the trees, Zhuan thought to himself that it was a little surprising to see a virgin forest underground, and he saw people who were petrified on the spot, and they all became scraped. Zhuan realized that people become scraped in such a strange way, and then a huge snake came out of the ground. Zhuan, tired, noted that he had just dealt with the Lord of Thunder, and then a disgusting huge snake appeared. They don't even give you a break. The snake looked at the sky and let out a strong howl. And Zhuan heard the sounds of goblins, and several goblins appeared behind him and started attacking him. This young Zhuan realized that this snake could summon goblins, but now they are just experience points for him. While he was fighting monsters, the snake wanted to attack him, but that hit him first with its strength. It turned out to be much weaker than he thought. Grinning maliciously, he noted that now only the soldiers remained. Seeing his grin, the goblins cringed but still started attacking him. All this time I've been watching the spirit of the player. For himself, he noted that he was alarmed, and he thought it would be advantageous to follow people with special classes, but they all unite to defeat a huge snake and he got stuck here and wasted his time on empty. That girl told him that he had gained experience, and she didn't think that they would meet so soon. All the special class players were assembled. That Tuck approached him and said that he was exploring the neighborhood when he left the square, but did not find a way out and asked how he got here. Zhuan replied that he had entered another place and passed through the thunder pool. Another player was outraged and told him to stop making fun. All thunder kills on contact. Several of their people are already waiting for a rebirth. The player who gained immortality said that even he could not take a single step, even though he was immortal. Zhuan said that if they don't believe him, then let them take him away. Hearing this, all the players were outraged and said, what kind of attitude is this? Don't be such egoists to him and tell them if he knows other ways. Zhuan said he knows the way out but doesn't want to talk, and what they will do to help each other and how they can help him. In addition, this game supports Pop if someone carries a lot of chatter that he will just kill him, to which they all fell silent. At Manka's, that girl with her brother said that even 6 families of the Magic Mountain could not convince him. So let them forget, they won't succeed anyway, and are they ready to fight to the death with the Lin family if even a hair falls from his head? To which others replied that they thought why her name is so familiar, so that's why. But his friend stopped him saying that in this game they can be reborn after death. In the new reality, if they fall under the sights of a large family, they will definitely be destroyed. Zhuan replied grimly that he didn't need her protection. She has her own choice and path, and he has his own and went the other way. The girl came up to him and said that Xiao King misses him and there is no big hatred between them. She was pretty brave, but she was honest with him, and she added that she almost gave up her family because of him. But these are 6 large families, all these years hiding in the magic city just because she got involved with him. To which the guy replied that he knows that she treats him well, but he does not like such a company. It's not easy to be a son-in-law. And then the guy remembered his past. He always thought that he would live a happy full life with her. But after graduation, she finally tore off her mask as the heiress of the Lin family. She did not make demands on them. She asked them to join the family. And he did not obey anyone's orders and could not accept such changes in her. But most of all, he could not accept that she was with him day and night for 3 years turned out to be an actress. In the end, he decided to break up with her. And then he came back to reality and asked Brother Zhen what was wrong with them. Zheng said that they were halfway down, the stairs collapsed. Their group fell from the sky into the jungle. They cut down the trees that grew around to make a boat and get over the swamp. Well, they were also attacked again and again by a huge snake. And the goblins were waiting in the neighborhood. I had to unite with the others. The huge snake was so ferocious, but Zhuan was able to kill it in one fell swoop. And he asked Chuang what happened to him during the time they separated. Zhu Chuan told Wu's brother and sister about what had happened, including that he could choose different classes, but still hid how the skills of the levels of the gods had awakened in him. And he told them that he did not expect to meet them behind the thunder pool. Zheng replied that it turned out that Chuang had exciting adventures. He was even envious. Chuan asked him now that the snake was dead if he could go and take a look. Zheng told him to wait here and he would cut down the headlight of the trees himself. Using his Titan power, he cut down a very large tree. The guy told him to rest first because he has craft skills. Let him try. A moment later, Chuan was able to make a boat. It was made of wood. Rarity, bronze, level 5, special effect, can swim through the swamp and not drown. Brother Zheng said he didn't expect him to have such skills because it took him much longer. Chuan held out his hand to them and told them to go with him. 3 were swimming through the swamp. Chuan told them to be careful, there is a miasma there and it is poisonous. They covered their face with a handkerchief so as not to get poisoned. Chuan said it was the first time he had ever seen a game drive players into such a trap. And after the release, it seems to him that the ladies will no longer want to return to the game. Zheng told him it's not that simple. Since virtual currency is linked to real money, people can use it to survive. And how he thinks where is the meaning of life here. Besides, it may already be too late to get out. To his words, Zhu Chuan asked if he knew something since he thought it was too late to get out. He said no, but he heard from people from Complete World that this is an unusual game. This concerns the fate of the Dragon Kingdom and even the whole world. Chuan was surprised and wondered if the game could determine the fate of the world. He would never have believed it before. Since 23-0, each of them has had a smart chip since birth. This is as important as their identity. But since entering the game, he has not received news from the real world for a long time. It was as if he had completely passed into another world. He tried to get out, but it didn't work. At first he thought it was a bug or that you can't quit the game in the middle of the dungeon. But now it doesn't seem to him that it was an accident. And then they came to land. Chuan still thought that judging by the map, this is the westernmost part of the underground palace. But there should be a city here, but why is there only a dense forest here? Or maybe a city is built in a forest. The girl asked if there were goblins here, to which Chuan told them to be on the alert, they are on the way. Zheng acquired his giant body and Chuan activated his spear. Brother Zheng attacking them asked why there were so many of them, their whole army. His sister replied that they had entered their territory. Chuan said they would have to find a way to break through. Goblin army attack. The goblin army is built to carry out an attack, dealing 5,000 units of non-selective damage to their enemy. They barely managed to escape from the goblin army, and Chuan wondered how goblins could use skills and damage 5,000, even he could not stand it. And then he saw a goblin on the trees that was aiming at them and wanted to shoot a bow. But they managed to escape into the forest. While Chuan was running, I'll think if the map is correct, then if they move this one in this direction soon they should see the castle. The secret zone should be here. When the bow was shot at them again, Chuan activated the light shield. Zheng thought that not only could he easily see the huge snake, he also puts effects on his teammates. He has an incredible amount of achievements. When they get out of here, he decided to put him on the list of important people for the Wu family. Chuan Bajesh shouted to them that there was a way out ahead. And then he came across a castle where the Goblin King was standing on top. And Chuan wondered how such a big castle could be hidden in the forest. The Goblin King asked why they invaded his kingdom. The Goblin Lord. Level 25. 03, 200,000, Defense 300, Attack Power 2000. Skills: turning the earth into a swamp, the descent of lightning, the power of a frosty wave. Turning the earth into a swamp forever can turn a piece of land into a place of devouring creatures and producing new goblins. The descent of lightning: if he wears the crown of the Thunder Lord, he can continuously summon lightning strikes to attack the target, causing 1,000 points of damage. The power of the frost wave: it can absorb the power of the cold wave and freeze large areas in front of it, causing a 2-second stupor. There is an opportunity to turn the enemy into a crazy zombie. A hidden mission was launched for Zhuan to defeat the miser of the underground palace of faith. The girl was surprised how goblins can talk to people, and the rewards: he will receive the crown of the Thunder Lord, full of experience points, and discover a real underground palace of faith. Zhuan smiled and said that the miser was this cute Goblin King at the top of the city and jumped there to kill him. The Goblin King saw the ring on his hand and realized that Zhuan was with Kudor and told his subordinate to kill him. When he jumped towards Zhuan, he killed him with one swing of the spear, dealing 50,000 damage points to him. Zhang and his sister were surprised with his strength. The Goblin King, seeing that he was defeated, bowed to Zhuan and prayed to him not to kill him, and for this he would give him treasures and reveal to him the secrets of the underground palace of faith. Zhuan saw in the tablet that he had defeated the goblin and asked what secrets he knew, and if he lied to him, the consequences would be deplorable for him. The Goblin King said he had been here for 1,000 years and he wouldn't dare lie to him. And he began to tell. A long time ago, the underground palace of Vera was not called an underground palace, but a dark cave. There were goblins, human criminals, and a wide variety of dark creatures. Territories were mostly divided between races, but sometimes there were conflicts. But they reached a balance. At some point, a woman named Vera came, and her arrival completely destroyed the balance of the dungeon. She united the underground palace with her great power, ordered the creatures to build castles. They built altars, one after another. Hidden places of the altar dungeon were opened every few hundred years. They were connected to the surface and attracted warriors from different worlds. Criminals went to the surface and became targets for killing and training these warriors.